गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यामुनातीरावनचारी यामुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरदारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यामुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्रोता श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We're reading from 10th canto. Canto 10, chapter 3, chapter entitled The Birth of Lord Krishna. We'll be going to verses 36, 37 and 38. 36 and 37 I'll read myself, and then we will read 38 together. So text 36. Evam vam tapas tapyatos tapa parama dushkaram divyavarsha sahasrani dvada sheyurmadatmano. Translation. Thus you spend 12,000 celestial years performing different activities of tapasya or difficult activities of tapasya in consciousness of me, Krishna consciousness. Text 37. Tadavam paritushtoham amuna vapusanage tapasa shraddhaya nityam bhaktya cha riti bhavitaha. Please repeat. Pradurasam Varadarad Yuvayoho Kamaditsaya Vriyatam Varaha Ityukte Madrishaha Vam Vritaha Sutaha Pradurasham Varadarad Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Vriyatam Vara Ityukte Vriyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Vamritaf Sutaha Pradurasam Varadarad Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Vriyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Vamritaf Sutaha Pradurasam Varadorad Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Vriyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Vamrita Sutaha Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Vriyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Vamrita Sutaha Pradurasam Varadarad Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Vara Ityukte Pradurasam Varadarad Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Vriyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Vamrita Sutaha Pradurasam Varadarad Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Vriyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Mam Mataji Sadurasam Varadarad Madrisho Vam Tat Sadisam Yuvayo Kamaditsaya Priyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Vamrita Sutaha Tada. Then, after the expiry of 12,000 celestial years, Vam, with both of you, Paritushtaham, I was very much satisfied. Amuna, by this. Vapusa, in this form as Krishna. Anage, O my dear sinless mother. Tapasa, by austerity. Shraddhaya, by faith. Nityam, constantly engaged. Bhaktya, by devotional service. Cha, as well as. Riddhi, within the core of the heart. Bhavitaha, fixed in determination. Pradurasam, appeared before you in the same way. Varadarat, the best of all who can bestow benedictions. Yuvayoho, of both of you. Kamaditsaya, wishing to fulfill the desire. Priyatam, asked you to open your minds. Varaha, for a benediction. Itiyukte, when you were requested in this way. Madrishaha, exactly like me. Vam, of both of you. Vritaha, was asked. Sutaha, as your son. You wanted a son exactly like me. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation. O sinless Mother Devaki, after the expiry of 12,000 celestial years, in which you constantly contemplated me within the core of your heart with great faith, devotion and austerity, I was very much satisfied with you. Since I am the best of all bestowers of benediction, I appeared in this same form as Krishna to ask you to take from me the benediction you desired. You then expressed your desire to have a son exactly like me. Purport. 12,000 years on the celestial planets is not a very long time for those who live in the upper planetary system, although it may be very long for those who live in this planet. Sutapa was the son of Brahma, and as we have already understood from Bhagavad Gita 8.17, one day of Brahma equals to millions of years according to our calculation. Sahasra yug paryantam ahar yad brahmano viduhu. We should be careful to understand that we get Krishna as one son. We should be careful to understand that to get Krishna as one's son, one must undergo such great austerities. If we want to get the Supreme Person of Godhead to become one of us in this material world, this requires great penance. But if we want to go back to Krishna, Tyaktya deham punarjanma naiti mamiti, so Arjuna, we need only understand him and love him. Through love only, we can very easily go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore declared, Prema Pumartho Mahan, love of Godhead is the highest achievement for anyone. As we have explained, in worship of the Lord, there are three stages, Jnana, Jnanamai and Rati, or love. Sutapa and his wife Prishni inaugurated their devotional service activities on the basis of full knowledge. Gradually they developed love for the Supreme Person of Godhead, and when this love was mature, the Lord appeared as Vishnu, although Devaki then requested him to assume the form of Krishna. To love the Supreme Person of Godhead more, we want a form of Lord like Krishna or Rama. We can engage in loving transactions with Krishna especially. In this age we are all fallen, but the Supreme Person of Godhead has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bestow upon us love of Godhead directly. This was appreciated by the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami said, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tishe Namaha. In this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described as Mahavadanyaya, the most munificent of charitable persons, because he gives so easily that one can attain Krishna simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We should therefore take advantage of the benediction given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra we are cleansed of all the dirty things, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, we shall be able to understand very easily that Krishna is the only object of love. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Brajet. Therefore, one need not undergo severe penances for many thousands of years. One need only learn how to love Krishna and be always engaged in his service. Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuratyada. Then one can easily go back home, back to Godhead. Instead of bringing the Lord here for some material purpose, we have a son or whatever, to have a son or whatever else, if we go back home, back to Godhead, our real relationship with the Lord is revealed and we eternally engage in our eternal relationship. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we gradually develop our eternal relationship with the Supreme Person and thus attain the perfection called Swarupya Siddhi. We should take advantage of this benediction and go back home, back to Godhead. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has therefore sung, Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as an incarnation to deliver all fallen souls like us and directly bestow upon us love of Godhead. We must take advantage of this great benediction of the great personality of Godhead. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishraya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vikas Swamiti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishraya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Bhagavani Vishare Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Paschadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhagavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Radhurasam Varadarad Yuvayo Kamadit Saya Priyatam Vara Ityukte Madrisho Vamrita Sutaha. Translation one more time. O sinless Mother Devaki, after the expiry of 12,000 celestial years, in which you constantly contemplated me within the core of your heart with great faith, devotion, and austerity, I was very much satisfied with you. Since I am the best of all bestowers of benediction, I appeared in the same form as Krishna to ask you to take from me the benediction you desired. You then expressed your desire to have a son exactly like me. So it's a very beautiful purport, and we'll try to cover it as much as possible in short sections. So here we see that the history of Sutapa and Prishni is given, that how they were so fortunate to have Krishna as their son. So they performed great austerities. It's given here 12,000 celestial years. So it is not in the, as Prabhupada mentioned at the beginning of the purport, that this period is very short in the upper planet systems. Prabhupada mentioned that Sutapa is the son of Brahma, and in those planet systems this is not such a long time. But for us in the material world, it is a very, very long period. So Prabhupada said that, okay, if one wants to have Krishna as his son, then such a great penance needs to be performed. But we also have to understand that. Just a second. So one can perform such great austerities to have Krishna as his son. Now, if you see the purport in that, Prabhupada is also mentioning about the 3 stages of bhakti. And these 3 stages of bhakti were also explained. Gokul Pujandra Prabhu gave a class the other day. Okay, yes, please. So, Gokul Chandra Prabhu had given a class the other day. It's in the text 31 of the same chapter. There were 3 levels of bhakti described. It's called Jnana, Jnanamai, and Rati. Now, the Gyan was explained as simple knowledge, just the knowledge, and then the Jnanamai is the love mixed with knowledge, and Rati is the pure love. So, in this purport also, if you see, Prabhupada says that Sutapa and Prishni, they had developed Rati. They developed the highest love, the purest form of love for Krishna. And that's when Krishna appeared in front of them. So these are all at our level maybe little higher topics, but theoretically we can understand that to get Krishna as a son is not a simple thing. We have to really scale up. We have to really go high to a very high level where we develop pure love for Krishna, and then Krishna will appear in front of us. So Prabhupada says in the purport that Sutapa and his wife Prishni inaugurated their devotional activities on the basis of full knowledge. Gradually they developed love for the Supreme Person of Godhead, and when this love was matured, the Lord appeared as Vishnu. So that's what we just mentioned, that when that love of God matures, then is the right kind of a scenario for Krishna to appear. Now, also, if you see, Devaki is requesting Krishna to withdraw the two arms and display his two-handed form. So here Prabhupada also mentions that to have a loving transaction with Krishna, it is better that Krishna is in the form of Krishna, two-handed Krishna, and or Rama. So that's why we see that Devaki is making such a request. Now, after hearing this, we may all be little disappointed, or maybe little, we may think that, okay, it's so difficult to have Krishna as a son. How is it possible for us in this material world? How is it possible? For Sutapa and Prishni, they performed penances for 12,000 celestial years, but for us in this Kali Yuga, it may not be possible. So for that, Prabhupada mentions in the purport again, he says that if we want to get the Supreme Person of Godhead to become one of us in the material world, this requires great penance. So he's saying that if you want to bring Krishna to this material world, you have to perform so much penance. But then what is the best thing is that if we want to go back to Krishna, we need only understand him and love him. Through love only we can easily go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore declared, Prema Pumartho Mahan. Love of Godhead is the highest achievement of anyone. So what Prabhupada is trying to say here is that instead of performing great austerities to bring Krishna to this material world, why don't we develop love of God and go and be eternally with Krishna? That is Prabhupada's argument, that why to perform, do such a austerity tapasya. So we can develop love of God and then we go back home, back to Godhead. But as we know, it's not such an easy process. And Prabhupada again mentions the purport that in this age, the same as we were mentioning, that in this age we are all fallen. Right? In this age we are all fallen, but the Supreme Person of Godhead has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bestow upon us love of Godhead directly. So the good thing about this age is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared, and he is giving, freely distributing love of Godhead to everyone. And this is confirmed in this verse, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate. He is giving love of God. He is Pradayate, means giving to everyone. So we are very fortunate. If you see in this purport also, Prabhupada has mentioned, there is this emphasis Prabhupada is giving, take advantage, please take advantage. You see, first time he says, we should therefore take advantage of the benediction given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Second time again Prabhupada mentioned, we should take advantage of this benediction and go back home, back to Godhead. Third time again Prabhupada mentioned, we must take advantage of this great benediction of the great personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada is emphasizing the fortune, the great fortune we have here in this Kali Yuga, where we can take the advantage of this benediction. What is that benediction? That also is mentioned in the purport. In this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described as Mahavadanyaya, the most beneficent of charitable person. Because, and here is the answer, he gives Krishna so easily that one can attain Krishna simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So what is that benediction? That one can attain Krishna simply by the simple process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is the great benediction which Prabhupada is talking about. Yeah, so we mentioned all that. So what is the other benefit of chanting Hare Krishna and developing our relation with Krishna is that we will also develop our real relationship with the Lord. Means we will know our Swarupa, and once we know that, we will be able to go back home, back to God, and serve Krishna eternally in a particular way which only we can do. So many times devotees have a doubt that, there are already so many devotees, so many already pure devotees are serving Krishna. What will I do if I go there? Will I have service to perform? But don't worry, Krishna has specific service for us, and this service only we will be able to do. So that is how Krishna is very, he reciprocates to us to the exact degree, exact degree of our surrender and our love for Krishna. So there is no problem. There is no need to worry about these things. We have to just concentrate on the process, and once we achieve perfection, we will be able to go back home, back to Godhead, and we will be given that particular service which we'll be good at. Now, everything looks very nice and rosy, but the problem is that the fact is that we are here in this material world. We are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for many years. Some are for 5 years, some are 10 years, some are 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. But tears are not flowing from our eyes. Nothing is happening. We are still struggling. We have not yet seen Krishna face to face. So where is the problem? So I'm sure many devotees here are very advanced. They are doing their sadhana very well. They are chanting their rounds very well, and there is no need to actually emphasis on the chanting, on the japa. But still, for my own purification, as a preaching to myself, I will mention a few things about chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So, as you can see from this purport, Prabhupada says very clearly that the only way to attend love of God is by chanting. And how is that? By chanting, what happens? Chanting is a purificatory process. We purify our senses by chanting, and then by their purification, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, by their purification, one day we will be able to attain that highest level. We all have this experience that there are days when we chant very nicely, we hear the holy name very carefully, we are very focused, and those days we really feel we all have tasted the bliss. The day when we chant so nicely, we feel wow, energetic, enthusiastic. We want to do so many things, we want to do so much service. So we all have that experience, but the only problem is that we are not able to sustain it. We are going like this, like sine wave, goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So recently I've been reading this book by Satswarup Maharaj. Again, last time when I gave the lecture, I was talking about another book by Satswarup Maharaj. That time it was reading reform, and this time it is japa reform. So this japa reform book, in that Satswarup Maharaj is giving his own realizations about chanting. He gives some quotes about chanting from, of course, from Prabhupada books, and then also he is maintaining a diary about how he has made some changes to his chanting, and then he is tracking those changes on a daily basis. So there are a few things from this book which I would like to mention, which are very nice. But before that, just generally about chanting. The process of chanting is very, very simple. What we are doing, we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a mantra, and we have to hear. So there is Shravanam and Kirtanam, right? These are the two basic activities we are doing. We say the mantra and we try to hear the mantra. Now there are a lot of complex things which happen, which should not happen. First thing is that some devotees, they develop bad habits, and bad habits, they die hard. So what happens is they don't chant the mantra properly. Sometimes they eat one whole syllable. Sometimes the Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And many times you see the problem is that many devotees don't realize that they are going wrong. So, and if this goes on for many years, then it is very difficult to overcome. The more 10 years, if you're chanting like this, and if somebody tells you, Prabhuji, you're missing, that's all, you will have, that he will curse you, who are you to tell me, I'm chanting for 10 years. So the more you delay the problem, the more difficult it is to overcome. Then we know the Gokul Chandra Prabhu also has given a seminar on Japa seminar. You could also hear that. And in that also he talks about many different kinds of chanting. There are many devotees who they make this. Also, Prabhuji was making that, like a snake, Hare like that. What Prabhu was mentioning one very nice name about it. But anyway, the point is that the mantra should be chanted very clearly. Hare Krishna, the sound vibration. See, it's a sound vibration. Krishna, Rama, Hare. This has to be pronounced very clearly. If I call, let's say I call Madhusudan by his name, he will look at me. But I call some other name, he is not going to look at me. In the same way, if we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra properly, then only we'll be able to attract Krishna's attention, not otherwise. If we are chanting some other, if we are dialing the wrong number, Krishna is not going to respond. So that's why it is very important that we chant Krishna. The chanting should be attentive. We have the 11th offense, we say the inattentive chanting. One should not chant inattentively. So that is also very important. And of course, we have to avoid the 10 offenses. So we have the 10 offenses. So the idea is that we have to chant attentively without making any offenses. So there are other kinds of chanting. Some there is motorbike chanting, like some motorbike is going on. And nowadays, thanks to the modern technology, that we have chanting with the mobile phone. The hand is going like this, and this hand is going on the beat back. So this kind of chanting is not going to help us. It will not work. I have seen the devotees, they say that when I have the phone in my hand, my chanting is very good, it goes very fast. Because your attention is not on the chanting, your attention is on the phone. And this Facebook is so addictive. Every day there are so many things. You can just go on and it's an endless list. Recently, I just was looking on the internet. Now there is a new disorder. They have so many disorders, attention span disorder, and this disorder. Now they have FAD, Facebook addiction disorder. In America, they have to introduce some new word. So FAD, there is a problem. People are getting addicted to Facebook, they are getting addicted to the phones, and it's a big problem. So this kind of chanting using the phone or while driving the car, many devotees, they chant. This should be avoided. Satswarup Maharaj mentioned in his book that chanting is the most important service. When you chant, that itself is a service in itself. You don't have to do anything else. He says, chanting time, you chant. Don't do anything else. You see many devotees, they have the bead bag in the hand and they walk and they talk to somebody, they go and talk something, they do something. This is not recommended. While chanting, you only chant. That's why the best time to do chanting is in the early morning, when everything is peaceful, everything is quiet. After Mangalarti, you sit peacefully and try to finish your rounds in that stipulated 2 hours. That is the best. Of course, many devotees have other services, pujaris, they have to perform abhishek and do services, so they can do those rounds later. But as far as possible, if the rounds are chanted in the morning, that is the best result. So there are other kinds of problems while chanting. Many devotees, they fall to sleep. They have problems sleeping. So the best, as per Shastra, the best way to chant is sit down and chant. But if you cannot sit down and chant, then you can stand up, or you can walk. That also is possible. The idea is to chant. But again, always remember, attentive, offenseless. These two things are very, very important in whenever you chant. These two things, if you can keep in mind, then doesn't matter sitting, standing, walking, in any way you will be able to chant. Okay, now there are a few other problems while chanting. Main problem, many devotees, there are frequently FAQs, frequently asked questions. That Prabhuji, we are chanting, but mind goes away. Many devotees will have this experience that when you're chanting, all the thoughts of the world, they come into your mind. Other times maybe you don't have such a big problem, but during chanting, when you're trying to focus on the holy name, so many other things come. Oh, this service I have to perform. Do I have to do this? Oh, I have to pay my bills. I have to do that. So many things come to your mind. It's amazing. But the point is that Krishna also, I mean, Arjuna also had this problem that it's very difficult to control the mind. I can control the wind, but it's very difficult to control the mind. So what Krishna tells him that abhyasena, it's only by practice. So a similar thing applies to chanting also. The first thing, as I said, that first thing is to identify the problem. Once you identify the problem that I have a problem in chanting, 50% of the problem is solved. And then you have to start working on it. The problem is that, biggest problem is that we initially when start chanting, we are very enthusiastic. Initially, anything that we do, we start doing service, we start anything we do, we are very enthusiastic. But as the years go, as the time goes, we become more and more complacent. So that complacency will not help in chanting, because if you are complacent about chanting, we are going in the wrong direction. We will not achieve the desired goal. That is the problem. So all the time we have to be introspective about our chanting and about many other things, but especially about chanting. So I've seen many devotees, what they do, they record their chanting. They see, every so often, once a week, or it depends on the frequency. They record their chanting to see whether they are pronouncing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra properly or not. It can also be that you chant next to another devotee and you ask him, Prabhuji, please, can you see properly if I'm chanting? So basically, the idea is that take help, ask for help from devotees, near and dear ones who can help you out with your chanting. It is best that you chant in the association of devotees. If you chant alone, then there is so much possibility that you will sleep. If you are in the association of devotees, then if you are sleeping, also devotee will wake you up. Prabhuji, get up, chant. So that way we help each other. So that's why chanting in the association of devotee is very, very important. So there is one solution or one suggestion Satsur Maharaj gives in his book about this, how can you control your mind while chanting. So what Maharaj says is that this is an honest question. Yes, this is a problem we all of us have. So even if you don't commit gross sinful activities, the subtle material desires in the mind and the fact that the mind is uncontrolled makes you unable to chant. This is especially prominent in the age of Kali Yuga. The problem in age of Kali Yuga is our attention span is very, very less. Every small thing disturbs us. We cannot remain focused. So Maharaj continues, the only solution is to work hard at chanting. You see, Prabhupada, many devotees used to ask Prabhupada, how do we improve our chanting? So Prabhupada, this is a chant more. Though there is no easy solution. You have to chant more, and that way you will be able to improve your chanting. Krishna says, continuing here, Krishna says, wherever the mind wanders, bring it back under the control of the higher self. And then he gives a very nice analogy. Just as when a parent takes care of a little child, the parent has to constantly see that the child does not go astray. So you have a little baby and the mother is all the time focused on the baby, it doesn't go astray. The parent cannot say that the child should cooperate more and just stay in one place. You cannot tell the child, okay, sit here and don't move. It's a baby, is going to move around. So similarly, but the parent lovingly has to constantly watch. In the same way, you have to lovingly and yet strongly discipline the mind and keep it concentrated on the holy name. Do not find fault with the process. This is another thing, right? Oh, I've been chanting for so many years, chanting does not work. Yeah. But we have seen in the past so many devotees, so many of acharyas, they have chanted, they have chanted this, they have followed this same process and they have got the result. So it is not the fault on the process. Don't say that the process doesn't work. There is something that we are doing wrong and because of that it's not working. And do not think that Krishna is not helping you. Yeah, again, I've been praying, I pray a lot, but still Krishna is not helping. That also is not a right attitude. He has helped you by giving you himself in this holy name. So Krishna has come himself. Kali Kale Nam Rupe Krishna avatar. So Krishna has come in the form of his holy name in this Kali Yuga. So he has already done that. We cannot say that Krishna is not helping. The only thing what we have to do is now you have to take to the process sincerely, and God helps who help themselves. So this is the English proverb, right? God helps who help themselves. So we have to help ourselves, and we can take others' help in doing so. So this is the only way we will be able to, really control our mind. One other very nice realization Satsuru Maharaj mentioned in his book. What he says is that, like I mentioned before, that this chanting is the most important service. Now, when we take initiation, we take a vow that we will chant 16 rounds, minimum 16 rounds we will chant, and we'll follow the 4 regular principles. Now, there is another thought. Yeah, I'll just read from Japari from book. You must think of chanting in terms of serving the spiritual master, not just as your own sadhana. I am thinking Srila Prabhupada has given me different responsibilities, and if I do not carry them out, he will be displeased with me. So what Maharaj is saying is that, like, let's say if your spiritual master gives you service that, okay, here is a mirror, clean it nicely, it's very dirty, clean it. What you will do? You will put the best of your effort, clean it so nicely that there is not a single spot, right? And if he gives it again and again, every time he gives it, you do it. So similarly, this chanting is also a service given to us by our spiritual master. How can we neglect it? We have to, it's a very different point of view. That's continuing here. That's the main teaching. Chant Hare Krishna, chant 16 round. So how can that not be thought of as a service to the spiritual master? Sometimes the spiritual master may find out, oh, some disciple, he is not chanting. What kind of disciple is that? He promised he would chant. We are always stressing chant. I can't advance in devotional service unless I chant. Therefore, it's not just your sadhana, but everything you do is to serve Krishna and the spiritual master. Everything. That should be our dedication, that there is nothing apart. So, we just need to focus on our chanting, and we have to chant with an attitude that this is a service I am performing to my spiritual master. With this attitude, many in this book also, one of the places Maharaj is mentioning that many of my disciples say that, Maharaj, I don't have a connection with you, there is not much interaction. So Maharaj tells them the same thing, that you chant properly, and I am also chanting my rounds, so that's the way we develop connection. That's the way we build relationship, not otherwise. So he continues, always remember that you promised your spiritual master to chant Hare Krishna without offenses, including the offense of inattentive chanting. It is a personal obligation, and one should chant keeping the order of the spiritual master in mind, and therefore keeping the personal connection. So again and again we have to, while chanting, we have to remind ourselves that this is the order of my spiritual master. I have promised him, so I have to chant properly. With this mood, we will be able to become more serious in our chanting and improve ourselves. Another interesting thing about chanting is that, you see, in normal circumstances, if we offend somebody, if we offend a Vaishnava, what do? We go to that Vaishnava, we offer prayers, we offer pranam, and then we beg for forgiveness. So similarly, there are, as I mentioned before also, that there are 10 offenses, and the 11th offense inattentive chanting. So if we are offensive to the holy name, what do? We go to the holy name. We should go back to the holy name and beg for forgiveness from the holy name. So in this regard, Prabhupada, in his purport to the in the Prahlad Maharaj prayers, in the Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam verse, Prabhupada mentions a very nice thing in the purport. I'll just read that. There is no way to atone for any of these offenses. So Prabhupada has just mentioned the 10 offenses, and then he's saying that there is no way to atone for any of these offenses. It is therefore recommended that an offender at the feet of the holy name continue to chant the holy name 24 hours a day. So the only way to improve chanting is to chant more. That's what it implies to. Constant chanting of the holy name will make one free of offenses, and then he will gradually be elevated to the transcendental platform on which he can chant the pure which he can chant the pure holy name and thus become a lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what you have to chant without offenses. So it is not going to happen overnight. It needs a conscious effort. It needs constant reminders. It needs constant introspection about within ourselves. Only then we'll be able to make gradual process in this regard. Continuing this purport, it is recommended that even if one commits offenses, one should continue chanting the holy name. So yeah, many devotees, they say, oh, I'm committing so many offenses and I'm not able to chant because of that. But that doesn't mean that you stop chanting. We have to continue chanting, and slowly we'll be able to overcome these things. In other words, the chanting of the holy name makes one offenses. Yeah. In the book Nama Kaumudi, it is recommended that if one is an offender at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava, he should submit to that Vaishnava and be excused. Similarly, if one is an offender in the chanting the holy name, he must submit to the holy name and thus be freed from his offense. So we just already mentioned this. Now in this connection, there is a following statement spoken by Daksha to Shiva. So Prabhupada is mentioning one prayer by Daksha to Lord Shiva. He says, I did not know the glories of your personality. So what is trying to say, we have to pray to the holy name in this mood. And what is the mood? Is this shloka. I did not know the glories of your personality, and therefore I committed an offense to your lotus feet in the open assembly. You are so kind, however, that you did not accept my offense. Instead, while I was falling down because of accusing you, you saved me by your merciful glance. You are most great. Kindly excuse me and be satisfied with your own exalted quality. So with this mood, we have to pray to the holy name that, yes, we are committing offenses, we are messing up, but please be merciful, and the holy name will, help us in developing a taste. Okay. Yeah, there is one anecdote also during the early days. There were many small leaflets they used to print. So one of them goes like this. Satsaru Maharaj mentioned in his book. There is no secret to japa. It is a struggle. So yes, we all know we are struggling, and it continues to be a struggle. There is no easy shortcut. The secret is to surrender to the struggle. The secret is to be afraid of death and to take it as very urgent that you must chant Hare Krishna. So what he's saying is that we have to be afraid of death. So let's say you are drowning in the well. What do? You shout. Yeah, you shout on top of the house, help, of your voice, help, 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 and you will raise your hand. So similarly, we are also in the same situation, right? We don't know when we will die. Anytime, anything can happen. So in that mood, we have to chant. With that intensity, we have to chant. Then they made a slogan. We used to have a slogan. What was the slogan? Chant while you can. So that was the slogan, that chant while you can. I mean, as long as you are alive and whenever you have time, you chant. On some so we used to have a slogan, chant while you can, on some posters, and show a scary picture of a graveyard. So they had a photo of a graveyard, and on top of that they used to say, chant while you can. So trying to scare people make them realize that you can die anytime. So while you're alive, you chant. So we have to think like that. Chant while you can. That is the secret. You develop love of Krishna by crying as a child cries for the mother. Krishna, son of Nanda, I am stuck in this ocean of birth and death. Please save me and fix me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Yeah. So yeah, there are so many other good things in this book. I would really recommend devotees who think they are having issues with chanting could really go back and read this book. And also there are many, Gokul Chandra Prabhu's Japa seminar is also very, very detailed explanation on devotees who are struggling with chanting. But my only humble request is that please don't become complacent about your chanting. Even if you think you are doing well, if you think you're chanting nicely, Still, I would say record your chanting or ask somebody to just go through it just to make sure. You don't want to be overconfident in these things. You want, I mean, you are spending that time 2.5 hours every day. Might as well you do it properly. My point is that don't become complacent. Please take help. Um, just one thing before I end here. There is many times Prabhupada was asked like that, can you show God? So in one of the one time Prabhupada mentioned like this. He said that I'll read. Okay. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Commenting on this verse, Srila Prabhupada said, Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna's name or Krishna's form is pastimes. Anything about Krishna, they are one. Therefore, by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you directly contact Krishna. Krishna is the Nami and Hare Krishna Mahamantra is his name. But they are non-different. Otherwise, how this Hare Krishna movement is so quickly appreciated all over the world. There is no difference between chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and meeting Krishna eye to eye, face to face. Simply one has to realize, the more you become purified by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you will see Krishna face to face. So that's another reply Prabhupada gave to people who ask, can you show me God? Okay, chant. You chant and then purify yourself, and definitely one day you will be able to see Krishna face to face. So, yeah, so you can see that in this today's verse, Sutapa and Prishni, they performed so many austerities, but Prabhupada is saying that for us in Kali Yuga, our austerity is to chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra as much as possible. And today is a very auspicious day. It's an Ekadashi. It is called Ekadashi and it's called Upavas. Upavas means to stay, to be, and Upa means near. So Upavas means the day when you be near to the Lord, and to near to the Lord means you perform activities like we are fasting, which means we are cutting down our eating. So the time that we save during that time, which would we normally spend for eating, we have to use that in Krishna conscious way. As Chitarbu also announced in the morning that yes, it is Nirjal Ekadashi, so many devotees would not even drink water. But that does not mean that now, Prabhuji, please, there is some service. No, Prabhuji, I cannot come because I'm doing Nirjal Ekadashi. So that is not the way of doing it. You cannot deny service and say because I'm doing Nirjal. Also, another example is that, Prabhuji, I'm doing Bhakti Shastra course. Oh, I am so busy studying that I cannot do service. But that, the whole objective of the Bhakti Shastra course is that the perfection is that we engage in devotional service, and by that, we develop love of God. So the purpose is not solved. So we do all these austerities to please Krishna, not for some motive. I'm performing. Many devotees performed, not many, I would say some. I have seen some devotees, they perform Nirjal Ekadashi to prove a point to somebody. Oh, just see, I will do it and show you. That's not the motive. We should not do with that motive. We have to do it even if you're doing it, do it quietly, silently to please Krishna. And throughout the day, you could engage in more reading, more chanting, and like that, you will be able to pass through the day quickly. Otherwise, I have seen many devotees, they are performing Nirjal and then they are so morose and they are so sad. Oh, I cannot drink water, I cannot eat, and then the purpose is lost. If you cannot function normally, then that means you are not ready to perform Nirjal Ekadashi. So yeah, today is Nirjal Ekadashi, and yes, we can engage, learn from this verse, and we can engage more in chanting, and slowly, gradually, we can go close to Krishna, and one day maybe we will be able to, attend our Swarupa and go back to Krishna and serve Him. Thank you. Hare Krishna. If there is any question, comments. Grantha. Yes. Hmm. Same. Intensity. Yeah. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Why bro? Suddenly quoting that example. True. Yeah. Very true. Many also, just to add to what Saur was saying, that many devotees also chant with a motive. Like initial, there was one quote. I don't know if I can find it here. There was like many new people used to come during those days to the Hare Krishna movement, and they used to chant, and they used to say some. They used to take a review. They used to speak to them, and they used to say, "Oh, when I chant, I feel like my batteries are charged," or some. There were a few other things. It is very materialistic. Basically, it is not chant. We should not chant for some. That's one of the offense also, right? We cannot chant for any material benefit. So we should not be chanting with that motive. Think just chant attentively and without offense, and everything else will be taken care by the Nama, with the holy name itself. There is no need for us to. Oh, yeah, one more devotee was saying, Satswarup Maharaj was talking to one devotee, and he said, "Oh, I chanted 64 rounds, but nothing happened." So it's not that now you chant 61 and then suddenly something, tongue, something is going to hit you and then you're becoming some, self-realized or something like that. No, nothing like that is going to. You, by chanting, you're purifying yourself, and then slowly the love of Godhead will develop, and there is no need for anybody to tell you anything. Automatically, you will know. So, uh, yeah, that's all I think. Else. Yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Mm. Wow. Couple of reference. Okay. Mm. Yeah, it's mental chanting. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, uh, you should chant loud enough so that the person next to you should not disturb, and you should be able to hear what you're chanting. This is our philosophy, right? We don't chant too loudly that you disturb the people around you, but at the same time, chant just loud enough so you believe. See, the chanting means you chant and you hear what you're chanting. That is the process, and continuously you do that, then your mind will be, focused. And at the same time, um, you know the chanting, the minimum what we say is around 6.5 7 minutes per round. Devotees who are new, they take 8 minutes 9 minutes, but if anything less than 6.5, if you do in 5 minutes 4 minutes, that means either you're eating words, and if you take more than 10 minutes, definitely you are sleeping. Now, in this book, also, just last thing, I'll finish with this. As I said, that Satsuru Maharaj was taking around 3.5 to 4 hours to finish the 16 rounds. He was chanting really slowly, not that he was sleeping, but he was really focused and he was chanting so. so slowly. So what he did, he wanted to then increase his number of rounds. He wanted to make it. He took a vow that I will chant 25 rounds. So now already he was taking three and a half. Now he wants to do 25 rounds. So he said it will take 5 hours. So it was becoming very difficult. He writes in his diary every day, oh, it's taking so much time. I'm not able to do. And that time he was working on Prabhupada's biography also, Leelamrit. So he was thinking, oh, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? So he consulted with one of his god brother. So his god brother suggested, why don't you increase your speed of your chanting? So then he was then thinking, oh, if I increase the speed, that means then I will not be concentrating. I will just do it for the sake of doing. And he is interested, he is thinking to himself. Then one devotee told him that, see, you listen to Prabhupada's chanting. So that's another thing, right? Many devotees, that's this group chanting of Prabhupada, you can play that and also chant with Prabhupada. But again, be aware that you cannot increase the volume so much that you cannot hear your chanting. Then you will just be moving the beats and Prabhupada is chanting for you. That don't do that also. So that devotee told Maharaj that, see, Prabhupada is also, Prabhupada chanting maybe around 7.5 minutes per round. So you can also do it. So then he started, he was convinced only then. Then he increased his speed and then he was doing 24 rounds. And then sometimes when there is he had 1 week marathon. So that time he came back to 16 and then again went to 25. So he intentionally said, okay, I have my book writing marathon. So this week I'm going to chant 16 rounds. Then again he switched back to 25. And every day he writes his realization in the book that today was so blissful. I'm able to finish. I'm relishing it. Krishna is helping. Such nice realizations in this book. So it's very inspiring when you go through this realizations of senior devotees of sannyasis. It's very helpful for our spiritual life. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. Exactly. True. Secondary. Yeah, you remind me of one more thing. That yes, chanting again with knowledge. If there is no philosophy backed with the chanting, then again it's of no use. That's why if you see many times when new devotees come, we don't recommend them immediately start chanting, because unless you know the philosophy, unless you understand why you're chanting, the chanting will again become like a ritual. It will become material. It will be mechanical. If you understand why you are chanting, what we are chanting, and what is the result, then your chanting will have effect. Otherwise, we have seen across ISKCON, there are many devotees who have bead bag, who have tilak, but they have no understanding. They are very, very neophyte stage, and you tell them anything and they cannot understand because they don't have the philosophical backup. So we have to read, understand what is all this, understand the philosophy, and then chant, and that chanting will be then very, very beneficial and effective. It's Mataji. Yeah. So Mataji's question is that when we are chanting, our mind goes here and there. So during that time when our mind is away, it does that chanting counts or not? So as we mentioned during the lecture also, that yes, it is a struggle. Our mind will go here and there. We have to bring it back. And yes, during that time you are moving your beats, so it is counted in one sense. But at the same time, we have to develop, we have to practice that our mind does not wander, and improve the quality of chanting. There is, because there is no other way. The only way to improve chanting is to chant more. So yeah, you can count, but if you think, okay, these many rounds I want to do again, that also is good. Oh, maybe out of 16 today, my 5 rounds were good. I want to chant more. Yes, welcome. No problem. So that's how it is. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and we see many senior devotees, they know that the day they are very busy, they get up early in the morning. You can see some of our devotees here itself in Salem, they get up 2:30 in the morning. They somehow of them finish 10 to 12 rounds before Mangalarti, and then they finish remaining rounds. And they are, it's not that, okay, now 16 rounds done, that's all, now I will not even touch the beat bag. But still, if you finish those quota of your rounds, and then you have your beat bag wherever you go, and whenever you have time, you do extra rounds. There is no problem. But your fixed quota of 16 rounds, you do it nicely, attentively. Then your day is so nice. You feel blissful. The way you respond to things will be much better. You will see it yourself. So, yeah, that's our humble request. Yeah. Okay, we'll end here. Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.